So, so this is, and I think one of the best ways to describe what we seem to be doing here on Thursday nights is we are building community. We're building, these early 15 minutes and setup time is allowing people to get to know each other a little bit better and provide some of that support. So I think, Steve, that you bring up a really valid question, and it's one that is very shared, right? Like here, Steve's asking, like, what do I do? I have a huge list, and what's happening? What's happening between the time that I reach these folks and not converting those leads into prospects, not converting those prospects into clients, into members? And I think that's a great question. And you could see, again, going to those fast start trainings, you're going to start to see what that system is, right? And we have a few minutes before we get started. Does anybody want to offer Steve some support? What could Steve do? He's reaching out to people, and are you using Prospect to send a video?
Actually, no. I started using Prospect, and my upline said, "Stop that. That's not part of our process." Okay.
What are you doing? Why don't we start from the very beginning? So when you reach out to somebody, what does that exchange look like or sound like?
I work very hard to make sure that they're watching the video. Sometimes they just don't want to click a link. All right, I'll work with them.
Let's even back up further though. Like, how are you getting that information to them? If you're not using Prospect, what are you using?
When we pull, as part of Mark Rich's team, we have access to Career Builder names. So I'm getting names off of Career Builder. As part of the Career Builder pull process, he will generate the first email that contains a link to a video.
Okay, so fundamentally, it's the parallel to the prospect. You fundamentally have something. Okay. Yeah. And so when you send that, which is written for you, pretend it's me. So I'm on this. You've reached out to me. Are you calling me? Are you emailing me? How is that? How is your first contact?
Once I've confirmed that they have watched the video, because Mark has drilled that into me. That's the way that he wants the process to work, is we want them to watch the video. So I do whatever I can to make sure that they've seen the video, and then we set up a time for a phone call. Okay. We're not going to do a lot of back and forth emails. I want to talk to people. And then once I talk to them, I spend a lot of time asking them questions. I'm trying not to sell somebody something that they're just not interested in. So I'm trying to learn. I'm very aware that different people have different personality bents, right? So I'm one of the left brain people that's very analytical, and so for somebody to sell something to me, they've got to give me lots of facts.
Right.
So I can weigh the facts and make up my mind, and I'll make a decision. Yep. It drives me nuts when I hear, well, I got to think about it. Well, that means that I didn't do a good job, frankly.
Yeah, right. And so I think it, especially in that we only have a couple minutes, I think that you're definitely onto something in terms of trying to reach who you're speaking to, but I don't know what a career builder is. Jim, are you able to speak to this?
So Steve, I'll walk you through how to do all that, because I wouldn't say I invented that phone call, because Mark Riches did, but I'd like to think I perfected it with Chuck Fields, that 30-minute call, and I'll walk you through that. And I made a training video in our team back office on that as well. So I'll get you that. If that's the program that you're following, I'll plug you into exactly how to do that.
That'd be awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have my cell?
I do not. If you want to.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat so that everybody has it. Everybody should have it.
Yeah, and because you're using a bit of a different system, I'm going to guess that there are a lot of parallels to what it is that all of us are doing. So fundamentally, I think it's the question that everybody has, is how do we fundamentally get started? And we have to get started every day. We have to reach out to someone new every day. And I think your intuition is right, that you're also listening to who you're talking to. But I think that we all struggle with conversion, when we've been, that the statistic says that it's, 7 touches, 7 times where someone necessarily converts to becoming a member, or buying. And sometimes we're impatient as well. Like, what does that even mean, 7 times? But with that, it is 9:15 Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Time, and my name is Jeanette Ocampo Welch, and it is an absolute honor and privilege to get to be here with all of you amazing leaders in our New England and beyond, because I know that it's not only New England who is here today. I am having technical difficulties, but you wouldn't know it because we're not even going to show that aspect of things. Instead, we're just going to go right into our 30-second, welcome. Everybody who is on the call is going to join us. Well, I do need a timekeeper, and I will pick somebody if someone does not volunteer, and then I will explain the rules of the game. Who can do timekeeping for me today? Just up to 30 seconds. Raise your hand if you can do it. If not, I think I'm going to choose Connie. Will you be my timekeeper? Do I always ask you? You just have, you have such a bright smile. It just like drew me to you.
She's gonna ask me because I'm in the middle of texting a lead, but that's okay. I'm good. I'll do this. I'm good. I'm here.
All right. So let's people are coming in, and so I'll just go over the rules of engagement. So what we're doing here is what we're calling like the 30-second game. And so what we're doing in that 30 seconds is you're going to introduce yourself, mention the state that you're in, and then we asked everybody to bring a membership testimonial, which means that you have used your service in some way and you're going to tell us about it. Now, Connie is going to be very strict. I think that people have been very generous where they keep showing you as the time is running out. But we're trying to build the intuition about this 30 seconds. And so to unpack that, the reason we're doing 30 seconds is because that piece of time is also duplicatable in our presentations. And we look at people to do testimonials about the business, about the membership, about their Legal Shield experience. And those are ways that our audience are able to see how this business is actually impacting people on a very real level. That's the story that's going to really move somebody to understand more about how this could work for them. We also, just again in the bigger scaffold, is we've decided to do the last Thursday of the month is going to be a briefing. And so we are going to want to know who wants to do a part of the briefing next week and who would like to do a testimonial. So all of these things are leading us to not only learn a little bit more about the craft and what we're doing at different points of our Legal Shield career, but also be better at telling the story, because the story is key. Is everybody with me? Give me a thumbs up. Give me all right, look at that. Wow, I love it. And so we do have people who are going to be joining us from a different point in time, maybe a different location. They might be seeing us on, sorry, Sharon. If everybody could just take a look at Sharon.
That's right.
She's so wrong right now with her, her backdrop, that it is amazing. And so these early times that we're coming in here, we're also doing some community building. I think that in just 2 short weeks, we've already started to get to know each other a little bit better. And it's also reaffirming for us to be able to listen. You are story gatherers as well as storytellers. Right now we have 17 people on this call, and you are able to gather 17 membership stories. So I hope you have your pen and paper ready, because that's what we need. And like Connie, I hope that you have your timer ready, because I'm getting ready here too, pen and paper. And so we're also reinforcing the behaviors of what makes a good leader. We were talking about that duplication. The duplication is reminding us that we have to always be good students and be writing these things down. And so now you're going to have this amazing arsenal of amazing stories. I will ask, let's see, I have some new faces here, but is someone able to do a business testimonial instead of a membership? I only need 2 people to do business testimonials. Connie, will you do a business testimonial? Will anybody else do it? And Michelle, perfect. So Michelle and Connie, you guys are gonna do just a business one, but so we're gonna put you a little bit later in the group. So what we're gonna do now is you're gonna start, I'm just gonna say it again, it's gonna be 30 seconds. You're gonna say, hello, my name is, I'm from the wonderful state of so-and-so, and you're going to give a testimonial about your membership. Jim, I'd love for you to frame for them what information should be in this 30-second testimonial when it comes to the membership.
Sure. So I think the most important thing is what you take out. We tend to add every, I backed out of my driveway and I drove to the Dunkin' Donuts and I got a large coffee with no cream and it goes on for 5 minutes and it ends up being a membership testimonial about document review. And you're like, well, I didn't need to leave the house and stand on the front porch with you while you locked the front door during that testimonial. So it's just about tightening it down to only what's relevant. And then the other thing is, ask yourself, am I going to say something that is so distracting that everybody that's listening to this, I just leave them right there. Like they can't go with me to my point because it's something really distracting. And I don't have a good example of that, but I think we know those things when we hear them. Usually there's something really heavy. But for example, if you have I have a lot of document review membership testimonials, but I've learned to not get into every nuance of the document. Here's I'll just do one, Joe.
Yeah, please, why don't you go ahead?
My name is Jim Tanner. I'm from Framingham, Massachusetts. And recently I got to use my Legal Shield membership because my wife, who's a professor, was given a contract for a training course that she was asked to do by a nonprofit council. And the only thing we really needed to know about that contract was to make sure that when she signed it, she wasn't signing away her rights to her intellectual property. So we had our attorneys review it. Well, it turned out after they reviewed it and showed and called us, that was exactly what she was doing. Had she signed that document, she would have given away her intellectual property to a course she created. And so for no cost outside of our membership, that document was reviewed. We caught that before it became an issue. It was changed, and then everybody was happy and on the same page. I'll be a Legal Shield member for life, just so I can get my documents reviewed. So I'm not signing things before. Signing things I don't understand that were written by another attorney to protect somebody else, right? So I could have gone into all of the details about what that document was, what the course was. That's what we tend to do, or we want to do, because we think it's all pertinent. But it's you can hear that the core of it was, I had a document, I had it reviewed. That's it, because that is the membership. Because if you go into too much detail, the listener says, well, I don't have whatever that specific thing is. I didn't have a big legal issue like that. So you're trying to relate to that speaker. Oh, hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever way you've used your membership is powerful. We just want to tighten it down to the 30 seconds. We saw a lot on the Super Saturday here in the Northeast last weekend. I loved everything I heard, but everything that I heard tended to take a lot longer than it needed to be concise.
And so we are going to be the best region in terms of testimonials. People are going to be knocking at our doors and saying to us, can you come and do a testimonial? Because we're just going to be so tight. So just that reminder, because I know some people do like the script. I do want to also recognize that culturally, everybody may come from a different place when it comes to storytelling. And so I want to just identify that while you're telling your story, it has a very specific purpose, which is why it's 30 seconds. So if you're having, as a Latina, how I tell a story, for our deaf folks, how they tell a story, if you're from another culture that tells stories in a certain way, this is not meant to not honor that. It's that it has a very specific purpose. And so we're definitely coaching you and training about how to meet that purpose. And so it's your name, how you use, what was the problem? How did the Legal Shield members solve it? Look at what we got from this, I will be, and then some sort of closer, I will be a Legal Shield member for life, something along those lines. So who wants to go first? I see a lot of beautiful smiles. Oh my goodness.
I will.
Sonora, are you ready?
Yes.
Connie, they're waiting for you.
So she can tell me when she's ready. I can't see her screen.
Go ahead.
Okay, hello everyone. I am Sonora Dancer from cold Colorado, where it's nice and snowy. And I wanted to share with everyone, we just celebrated Valentine's Day not too long ago. So I asked my husband exactly what he wanted. And he said, I just want to get away, just us, no one else. So what did I do? I used my membership perks on a Thursday. I booked a last minute surprise getaway weekend, saved $37. And now I have a new spot for us to go away. And better than that, I am in the new wife, that my wife is better than your wife's club. Thanks so much, Legal Shield membership perks.
41 seconds.
Excellent. All right. Woo, way to start us off. 31 seconds.
41 seconds.
Oh, 40.
I will say 30 is hard if you're, that's practice.
So we'll do 30 to 40, you know, so try to be as, you know, as concise as you can, but we'll do 45 will be the max if you can keep it under. But yeah, it does feel like it kind of has like a little bit of an extra statement. All right, who is next? I see you, Constance Archer.
I can't see everybody. Do I need to switch my screen? But go ahead, Constance.
Okay, my name is Constance Archer from Sackets Harbor, New York on Lake Ontario. So I always tell my members when I get them to fill out the will and remember me. So one day I got a phone call from the guy and he said, I need your information. And I go, how come? He goes, I'm filling out my will. I'm like, okay. So he filled out the will. I go, do you need the address to mail it in? He said, nope. He said, I did it on the app. I just emailed it in. He goes, I'm at the diner having coffee.
31.8.
Nice. All right, who is next?
I'll go.
Nola. All right.
Going.
You can go. No, that's all right. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right, go.
Hi, I'm Nola Fennessy from Portland, Maine. I got a great chance to use my membership when we were going on vacation, going to be driving, through 5 states. And my daughter was only with her driver's permit. And we called the law firm to find out, could she drive in each of those 5 states on her permit? Could she drive in Canada? But I never called a lawyer for that if I didn't have Legal Shield. And instead of it taking me an hour to find out, it took me about 5 minutes.
Perfect. That's an amazing story too.
That is a great story. Woo, so far we've covered document review, we've covered member perks, we have remember the will and calling to get advice about travel. That's fantastic. Who is, so that was Nola. Miss Donna Spohr, is that, are you next? Excellent.
Yes. My name is Donna Spohr and I'm from Whitehall, New York. And I had an issue with an attorney that was kind of thrown out, and he had all my husband's estate stuff and he messed it all up, and through Legal Shield I was able to get all the paperwork from him that he wasn't going to give to me and resolve my husband's estate, and everything's fine now. And it was really easy, and
Awesome.
Everyone should have our services.
Less than 30 seconds. Great job.
Donna gets extra credit because she's in Whitehall. That's where I went to high school. Donna, you know that, right?
Yes, sir.
All
They
right.
named the football stadium after him, right?
No. Class of 93, 94, 95, and 96. I figured it out.
Who is next? Trudy.
Go ahead.
Just give her a second. She's working with an interpreter.
Are you voicing for yourself or are you signing?
I'm doing it for myself.
Okay, cool. Go.
I didn't hear her say go.
Okay.
I'm Trudy Hightower from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. My business closed due to COVID and I fell behind on a credit card company that sent to collection. The collection sent me to go to court. I decided to use my Legal Shield membership, and they communicated with the collections department for me. And Legal Shield helped me save over 40%, which gave me a peace of mind so that I don't have to do this alone.
Oh, you win 24 seconds. That's hot.
That is hot. Woo! Nice. All right, who is next? All right, Miss Amy, are you going to need an interpreter? You're going to sign it? Okay. Hang on a second. Well, I'm going to change things. Hold 1 second. I need to be able to see you.
Do you want to interpret or you want me to interpret?
Can we let Sharon do it?
It's up to you.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, give me 1 moment. I have to pin her.
Yep.
Okay, I'm ready. Hello, my name is Amy Mahoney. I'm in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I had a dental bill that had been reoccurring. I ended up calling Legal Shield. The lawyer got this all resolved, and I owed over $140 that was sent. Within 2 weeks, I got that all waived, and I ended up saving myself 40 bucks.
Amazing. 25 seconds.
Oh man, this team is on fire. You guys are amazing. All right, who is next? I see Sharon waving her hand, so I think she's volunteering.
You know what I was doing. You're so full of it. I'm giving applause and she picks me.
I see Lisa raised her hand. You can,
okay, Lisa, go girl.
Lisa, are you ready?
I'm sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Lisa Day. I'm from the state of Maine, and I used my membership just a couple months ago for just getting calling to get advice on a benefit. I just talked to my daughter and talked her through using her membership for an issue with the utility company, and tomorrow I'm helping my mother-in-law use her membership for an issue with a credit card company.
Wow, 27 seconds. 3 stories.
Nice. Wow, that is fantastic. This is amazing. And so I will say, I'm noticing a little bit of a pattern. And this may not be for right now, so don't put the pressure on, but how do we finish that sentence, the story as well, right? So some people are having some really good wrap ups, just something to, I'm seeing Sharon is in sign language only for very few of us saying, and that's why I keep my Legal Shield membership. But it's just good to hear other people. Remember, we're story collectors. So collect how they're finishing their stories. How do we do the dismount, right? So we can get that 10. Steve, did I see you raise your hand?
Sure, I'll go.
All right, excellent.
Very good. As soon as I get the thumbs up from Connie, I'll go. Okay, here we go. Hi, I'm Steve Brown from the beautiful state of Iowa. And I just had a chance for the first time to use the perks this month, or this week actually. My washing machine broke and I got the email for perks, and I started looking through there and I found that I was able to get a new washing machine for $75 under their employee price. So I felt like I got a good deal on a good machine, and it's paid for itself for a couple months now.
Nice. 27 seconds. I love that.
And finish that sentence.
Yeah, well, how would I finish that sentence? It could.
And that's why I'm proud to be a Legal Shield member. I ended up saving money as well as blah, blah, blah.
Very good. Very good. All right. So it was a little bit more than 27 seconds, but good. There you go.
All right.
You gotta finish it off, Steve. Come on, you can finish that sentence.
Oh,
all right, Sharon.
all right. All right.
Sharon,
Finish it off.
I see you, Saul. We're gonna let Sharon go next, and then you.
I'm
Go
trying
ahead,
to think
Sharon.
which story. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, my name is Sharon Mendes. I'm in Massachusetts. I ended up using my Legal Shield benefit. I was sick with breast cancer, and prior to that, I was a royal mess because my bank was threatening foreclosure on my house. But after I had Legal Shield, I ended up calling them when they were threatening me again for non-payment when it was paid. And that got resolved in no time, and I got an apology. That's why I'm going to keep Legal Shield for life.
Very good.
31 seconds.
Nice. All right, Mr. Saul, you are next.
So, ready?
Yep, go ahead.
My name is Saul Urudia. I'm from South Florida. I had to take my car to replace the windshield at Safe Flight. When they sent me the preliminary invoice, it had the wrong mileage. It had 40,000 miles more than what my car actually had. I called Legal Shield. The attorney said that he could write a letter or call the Safe Flight for me. He called, and when I got there, the guy said, "Oh, you're the guy from the phone call." And I said, "What call?" He said, "Oh, your attorney called. I have to go see the mileage of your car with you." So he went, he saw the mileage. I went back inside and they put the correct mileage on the car. And I love Legal Shield.
Awesome. 37 seconds.
Oh my God, you guys are on fire. All right, so I'm gonna I see Michael Robideau.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Robidoux from Connecticut, and we recently purchased a new car that had, in the warranty, tires were covered. We picked up something in a tire where it needed a plug. The warranty company did not want to pay for the plug, so I contacted Legal Shield. They wrote a letter on my behalf, and not only did they pay for the plug, they wound up replacing the entire tire. And I love my Legal Shield membership, and we'll never be without it.
23.7.
That is some efficiency. All
I
right.
want to go next. I don't want to do it.
What's that?
I don't want to ever go. I can't beat that. That's awesome.
Everybody's just so amazing. You guys are on fire. So do you want to go next, Connie?
Sure.
Yeah, I know that I did ask Connie Ayat to do a bit of a different one. She's going to be doing the business testimonial today. Does someone have a timer ready? I could do it. Or I think I can.
Mike has one.
Mike's got one. All right. So Mike, let her know. Ready?
Awesome. Connie Ayat from the great state of Maine, where I'm freezing. I helped a business owner actually last week, met her at a BNI, contacted me because she's now going through a messy divorce, but she owns a daycare with 40 employees and over 200 parents. She's worried her husband's connected to that business. So I'm able to not only get her personal membership to help her with that divorce, which is going to, and she has 4 children, but she's also going to be able to protect that business and those employees and those parents with having access with her business plan, as well as her personal plan. So I'm Legal Shield for Life, helping many families for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Awesome. 33 seconds.
Thank you.
That's not bad.
Excellent. And I know that Michelle still has to go. Who else? Clifford, are you ready to go? We're going to have Clifford go, and then we'll have
Sure.
Michelle do a business one as well. So Clifford.
So my name's Clifford Pafford. I'm from South Hadley, Massachusetts. I used to have a brick and mortar business until it closed because of the pandemic. I love Legal Shield because I'm able to impact a lot more people than my construction company ever could touch. And one of the things I've used it for is I get a new terms and conditions from my credit card company. I scan the 13 pages of 4-point print and send it off to the law firm. They called me back that day and said, "What do we need to do?" And I said, "I just need to know what I need to know." I will always have my membership.
Excellent.
Amazing. 36 seconds.
And you squeezed a little bit of the business in there. I liked it.
I love that.
Right? Isn't that cool? All right. Michelle, are you ready? We're going to do a business one.
Go ahead.
I'm Michelle True from Portland, Maine, and I have a colleague who has a small business and she is covered by Legal Shield. So when her vendor upped the price of her monthly fee, she called Legal Shield and Legal Shield spoke to the vendor and got her out of the contract. And she is a happy Legal Shield member, and so am I.
Oh, 23.2. I think she beat whoever was 23 before.
Well, and I think it's a fantastic skill to have to make them as concise as possible, but this isn't a race, but I am thoroughly impressed with everybody today. You guys are amazing. So Teresa, I see you, and I think something may have popped into. I'm going to guess that you are not able to contribute in a different way. So hi, my name is Teresa Burke from Virginia Beach. When I was exposed to COVID at work, a federal job in July 2020, and advised that I would not be eligible for COVID pay, even though I wasn't allowed back to work without a negative test result, I called Legal Shield. The attorney told me he could not believe we were having this conversation in this climate, and that if they declined to give me COVID pay, then we would just have to sue the government. I advised my manager, spoke to my lawyer, and 10 minutes later, he had me sign the timesheet for the pay. Great story.
Wow. I love that story.
Right? And actually, this is, for me, this is one of my first COVID stories. I haven't heard a lot of them. So I just love that we're covering the gambit here. I know, we all do. All right, so is there anybody left who wants to do a story, who wants to do a testimonial? And if not, then I think I might be the last one. I just want to check in. I know that there's some people who have not yet. And Amanda put hers in the chat, and it says, hello, my name is Amanda Scott, and I'm from the state of Mass. I use my membership perks to buy myself a laptop and save myself over $100. Woo, that is a good story. Nice. And so I'm the final one, and I'm going to bring it to say, my name is Jeanette Ocampo-Welch, and I'm in the state of Massachusetts. In 1997, I got hit with identity theft, and it has been relentless, and it has been constant. My friend turned me on to ID Shield, and with that ID Shield, at 10 o'clock at night, when they took my IRS, my social security number, and filed an IRS tax form, I was able to get somebody on the phone the next day, have a private investigator looking into it and clean up my credit and clean up my report. I will never be without ID Shield and as well as Legal Shield.
35. Good job.
I want to congratulate you all. This was so amazing. Every one of you stood up and did exactly what we needed. And, you know, and we can already hear like the different kind of stories. I'm hoping you at least jotted the topics down, because now you guys all have 16, 17 stories to tell. You have identity theft, contract review. We have a COVID story. We have multiple shopping stories. Like this is just keep building your story collection, because that's going to be the thing that's going to help people resonate. With that, yes, Jim.
And Joe, let me do a little training around why this is valuable. So first, on the topic of always expanding your list, as you absorb these stories, now sometimes it's hard in this environment because you're thinking when it's your turn, what you're going to talk about. But when you can breathe into that and relax, and then you're absorbing these stories, I hope it's hitting your brain and saying, Pete, the guy I used to work with, he just went through this. I got to tell him that story. So you're adding to your list, right? Also, you can go back to people and you can say, listen, I wanted to give you a call because I was just in a meeting. And I heard a couple of people telling their story about how Legal Shield had helped them, and it made me think about you. And now you have a follow-up that's based in total reality and the inspiration of the moment. But more than anything, I just want to tell you, someone who's built a big team and been around a long time, when the way everybody's sharing their membership testimonials, you're using your memberships. That's why you're here. You're a self-selecting audience that shows up for things like this. That's who you are. There's an outer ring of Legal Shield associates that are like unplugged and disconnected. You know why? They're not using their Legal Shield membership. If they were using their membership, they'd be like all of us, shouting it from the rooftops. So when we are struggling, we're saying, you know, I recruited this guy, this gal, this friend, this family member, and they're not doing anything. Let's redefine what anything is. What that anything is using their membership. If they use their membership, we got them. Because they'll be on these Zooms with us, telling stories of how they've saved the equivalent of years or decades of the cost of a Legal Shield membership. And oh, by the way, they get to be in a business where they get paid to tell people about something they would tell them about anyway. So I want to just acknowledge that and frame that. This is more than just getting good at doing a tight testimonial. There's a lot that happens in the space that we're in right now.
And this was just stellar. And so like we had mentioned, and like I had mentioned before, we are changing up our format in terms of week to week. And so next week we are going to do a briefing. And so Jim and I decided that, again, like we're unpacking what testimonials do, we also wanted to unpack what it meant to do a briefing and bring in some highlights about what it is that we're doing when we're giving that overall presentation. I know that not everybody is jumping and running to the front of the rooms. There's some other of us that, like me, who are very comfortable in public speaking, but there's something more to what we're doing when we're doing that presentation. It's done in certain ways. There's information that we're trying to convey, and there's just more to it. And so, Jim, I think I'm going to go ahead and highlight you, even though we have been in group mode. We're going to go ahead and spotlight you, because I believe this is where you're going to come in and tell us a little bit more about kind of unpacking the briefing for everybody.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring it up on my screen in a second, but let me just give you a little history. I can't go back 48 plus years to when Harlan started the company, but I can go back to when I got started. When I got started, there was a system in place. So the expectation was that a new associate could take a prepared presentation. In our case, it was a VHS. Some of you have been around, so you're going to be nodding. We called it the brick. It was a kit. And there was a VHS tape that had the presentation. It was called Balance of Power. And I had one of those. When I got started, I got a copy of that VHS. And you would bring it to somebody and you would play it for them, because you wanted to move faster than your personal skills. The expectation is you're going to develop the skill to do the presentation, but we don't want to wait for that with any associate. And you see that all today, right? We've got Zooms every day. We've got the digital presentations on Prospect. You can send them to people. There's teams that have produced their own overviews that you can share. We've got stuff everywhere. So we don't have a VHS tape anymore, but what hasn't changed is exposure is everything. But beyond that is, we want you to get to the point where we all have the skills of doing a presentation, because that's another way that we can serve our growth and serve our team, because then we can be a part of that. So you used to learn how to do the presentation by going to the weekly meeting in your local community, where someone who was really good at this would do it, every Tuesday or every Wednesday, and you'd watch and you'd take notes. And then eventually what would happen is you'd get a chance to participate. And here's how you would get started participating. You would do a membership testimonial, because everybody should be using their membership. So we've got a story, and that's the easiest story to tell. It doesn't matter how much money you've made. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. You don't have to be a good presenter. You're just telling a personal anecdote, and you guys have got that. So, I mean, we showed that here today. So then the next graduation, if you will, is maybe you tell a business testimonial, which is not necessarily about how much money you've made. People think it is. It's supposed to be about why you got started. For example, my name is Jim Tanner, and I joined Legal Shield because I'm working a full-time job delivering furniture during the day, and I'm working part-time at the mall and a retail store at night. I'm working 80 hours a week, and I'm just not getting ahead. And I knew that if I just kept doing that, I wasn't going to get any further ahead. So I started this Legal Shield business part-time so that I could create a new income stream for myself and my family, and eventually leave both of those jobs behind. That's a testimonial. And by the way, far more relatable than I've made $1 million doing this, because most of the people in the audience either don't care, don't believe you, or don't think that they could do that too, because they're evaluating where you are now, not where you started. So anyway, so those are the testimonial pieces. And then the next graduation is, you've seen this presentation a bunch of times. You've seen the video a bunch of times because you're showing it to other people. You've been to the briefings every week. So you're seeing the presentation. The next easiest thing for you to do when you're acquiring the skill is to do the membership portion. So to train an associate to do this presentation, we'd split it with you. So you do the membership, because again, that's pretty straightforward. It's on the screen. You can just talk and point. But also then the expert is going to come in and do the second half of the presentation. And if you mess anything up, they'll just kind of mop it up as they do the second half, which is the compensation and the close. And then eventually you can do the whole thing yourself, right? And eventually is different for everybody. So for some people, it's a couple of weeks. For some people, you know, it takes a long time, and there's nobody judging that timeline. I just knew that I wanted to be able to do the presentation that I was seeing other people do, because I wanted to make other people feel the way those men and women were making me feel when they were doing the presentation. I loved how excited and optimistic I became after having been pessimistic and not excited about anything before my Legal Shield business. So I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be a part of that part of the culture of the company. And I want that for all of you too that would like this. So let me bring this up. Hopefully I set the stage for that. Does that make sense, or am I just blabbing, Joe and everybody?
There are thumbs up.
What are you going to say, right? What are you going
Yes.
to say? He's just blabbing. Okay. Okay. All right. So you're seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's two ways to do the testimonials, and you know, all of my experience prior to this year was always live. We're always doing these live. So there's two ways to do it, and there's no right way or wrong way. There's probably more than two ways, but of the two ways that I've always done it, the membership testimonials are introduced during the membership portion, and the business testimonials are introduced during the business portion. But also in the last few years before COVID, I noticed that in the rooms, a lot of folks were doing the presentation all the way towards basically the end, and then they were introducing all of the testimonials and recognitions at the end. I don't personally have a preference. I like, as a speaker, to get a breath, so I would probably be more inclined to bring the member testimonials in during these early slides. But I'm just going to go through this, and Joe, what I want you to do, and Nola and everybody else that already knows how to do this as well as I do, to interrupt, jump in, and contribute. But I'm just going to basically talk about, I'm not going to do the presentation, of course, but I'm going to talk about what is on our screen. So it starts with, let me just switch to this. Hang on a second. There we go. Okay. So it starts with this slide, and I see a tendency in speakers to spend a whole bunch of time here telling their story. I have two Legal Shield stories. Me as a customer, happy customer, and me as a happy associate. So I tend to weave those in. So I tend to blow through the beginning pretty quickly. But I've seen some people spend 5 minutes talking during this, and then the slide doesn't move. And then remember, you're just in a little corner screen, you know, on a presentation. So you have to be careful about how much time you spend talking, because people can lose interest rather quickly. But you also have to make it personal. Otherwise, they could just be watching a video. So I might talk a little bit about, I might say something like, you know, when I got started, when I first saw what you're about to see, so I'm kind of future pacing this. When I saw what you're about to see, I was excited. And now I'm excited for you to see it as well. So I'm going to set the tone of the thing to talk about how Legal Shield is like Amazon and Spotify. Pretty simple concept. Dave Savula, when he did this presentation when I first got started, he talked about how it was like health insurance, car insurance. So we've just updated the concept, but we're making a comparison to something people understand. So that's the comparison to the justice system. And this is where we get into the membership. We talk about what does the membership do for the customer. So now I always talk about this in terms of you. So I'm going to say, so here's what this does for you. Legal Shield makes the justice system simpler, easier, and more affordable, and they're disrupting the system. Here's our vision: to provide equal access to the liberty, equality, opportunity, and justice that every human deserves. And I think that's something we can all agree is worth paying attention to. And here's how we're doing that. Our company, Legal Shield, and you see our corporate headquarters here, established in 1972, currently protects 4.4 million families. So this slide here is about company credibility. Like, what am I watching? Why am I here? And that's what this slide is here to do, to let them know this is not something that Joe and Jim and Nola and everybody else came up with in our garage one day. Like, hey, let's make a legal system and a mobile app. No, this company's been around. Just because you haven't heard about it doesn't mean we haven't been busy. And we've been busy since 1972. So you're kind of making that. That's what that slide is for. And then we're going to combat what people come to Legal Shield with, which is thinking that they don't need lawyers because they don't break the law. So whether they say this or not, a lot of your customers are thinking, I don't need an attorney. That's why this is Have You Ever? And this is a great place for this presenter to share your membership testimonial, which you guys are great at. So when you're doing this part of the presentation and you're talking about, have you ever signed a contract or had a landlord or tenant issue, you can also be very carefully fun here. Like I'll say, now maybe if you've ever been a landlord, I'll bet you've had a tenant issue. Or if you've ever been a tenant, you've probably had a landlord issue, right? Because that's relatable and it's a safe joke. But this is what we do is serious. So I don't tend to tell jokes a bunch of times, but I will show a little bit of character if I don't know if that's what I would call it, but I try to be a real person. And so we want to show them the mobile app, right?
And I just you said I could interject. I just wanted to say, notice that even though he's not doing the presentation, he is reading fundamentally off the slides. So for those of you who are worried about memorizing or that, you need to have something, ready to go, you literally can read off the screen to get started. And it is that easy.
Yeah. And we did this, it was like only the most important person in the region had the PowerPoint projector and a laptop computer. I mean, we're talking about 2004. Probably the first person I ever met that had a laptop computer was the person doing the presentation in Albany, New York that I went to. So we were doing this with a flip book, which was a paper book in a 3-ring binder. And all of these, what you'd call slides were in, plastic sheets, and we're flipping through it. But you get used to knowing where, and it was different, of course, but you get used to knowing where you're going to do your stories. We used to have a little Lady of Justice. Nola, maybe you remember this. We had a Lady of Justice hidden on the pages where you were supposed to tell a membership testimonial. So it would kind of remind you. And then we got a different version of it where when you held it this way towards the other person, on the back of it, it had the things that you might want to key in on and talk about. But, it's all here. And it's about combating the I don't break the law, so I don't need an attorney. And that's, again, a great place for your testimonials. But as a simple, anecdotal example. And then we're telling them what it feels like to be a member, to have this on their phone. So I'm going to say, just imagine for a second what it would be like to have this mobile app on your phone. And then you never have to worry about what you're going to do or what your rights are in any situation, because you can just tap the app and you can talk to an attorney that's an expert in the area of law that you have a question in. Unlimited number of issues. You can have letters and phone calls made. This screen is another one where you might have a testimonial that you want to bring in, either from somebody who's helping you with the presentation or yourself. But again, 30 seconds, because we're in the middle of a presentation. That's why that's key. And then another thing that's a little tricky on this presentation, we have a shorter one that doesn't have all these pivots in the slides, but you might be talking about, let's go back. You might be talking about personal legal matters, which is what you're seeing on the screen here. And then you keep going, you say letters and phone calls, but you forget to, advance the slide. So the image on the screen is not going to the other buttons. But, I've seen everybody do that, and some of the best still do that because we're all getting used to the flow of these slides that they make at the office. Traffic ticket is its own slide because most people have had a traffic ticket. They have one of their driving children has had traffic tickets, or they know they're about to. Like, nobody thinks that they're immune to traffic tickets. That's why this has its own slide, and it's cool. It's cool to be able to snap a picture of the ticket, put them at the side of the road and say, listen, while you're still on the shoulder of the road, you just got this ticket written. You don't have to fax it or mail it. Take a picture of it with your own mobile phone, and the app will transfer it directly to your law firm so they can get started on this ticket for you before the police officer even pulls away. That, again, puts them in that moment. And then emergency access. I don't care how much money the person you're presenting this to has, they don't have emergency 24-hour, 7-day, 365 access to attorneys. My father-in-law is an attorney. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't know that he'd be the person I'd call, and I don't know that he'd answer the phone if I called him. And he's a lawyer, and he lives a block away. So even people that have attorneys in their family, people that have attorneys that are their friends, which is another thing they're thinking, my cousin's a lawyer. If I ever need anything, I can always call him. 24/7 emergency access to attorneys is massive. And the whole thing is a disruptive innovation, but that is disruptive on top of disruptive. Will preparation is something you can quantify for the customer. They can easily see how they're saving $500 to $1,000 or more dollars, especially if they're mature. If they're 19, they don't most likely aren't going to see the value of this. When I saw this presentation, I was 19. He probably told me I could get a will done. I probably didn't care. I cared about the moving traffic violations. That's why I signed up. And that's why we do a whole presentation, because there's different reasons people sign up. And then members discount again. And again, I promised I wasn't going to do a whole training, but this is the membership. And then there's also the contingency cases. So this is the membership. Who's covered? And if this takes more than, if you're doing a 30-minute presentation and you are beyond the 15-minute mark, you're behind. That's the other thing that you'll see. Like, I'll get behind sometimes and then I have to speed up. But ID Shield doesn't take as long to cover. So then we'll go through this and we'll drop the price on them. And now they're going to be more skeptical. So here's where I say, now listen, you're probably skeptical. How could the best attorneys in the nation be available instead of for hundreds or thousands of dollars an hour, $24.95 a month? Well, because it's not my $24.95 or your $24.95. It's the collective buying power of that 4.4 million lives that we're currently covering. That means these attorneys are paid millions of dollars. Actually, in most cases, we are their most important client when we tap that app and talk to them on the telephone. It's not a call center. It's not a paralegal. It's an attorney, an expert in your area of law that's going to do what you need to get done and give you the advice you need to have, because we are Legal Shield members. So something like that, just to really anchor that back down to, you're getting this great rate, but not because you're getting a lesser attorney. And then we'll talk about identity theft. Joe, do you want to add anything? You're kind of the identity theft expert.
So very often people conflate. I'll put my face in with you. Hang on one second, because I changed the screen here. Here I am. I'm joining you here. So very often people conflate identity theft with credit card theft. And so they think that they've got it taken care of. So, this where it says here that criminals don't want your money, those are the preconceptions that people have about that. So they think they're already taken care of. Will you go to the next slide? And, we start to unpack all of the different issues that they are going to be looking at. And what I tend to do is I do say, like, it's possible that you may have a plan with, like some company has already breached and you have this free plan because of their error, which is still like not right, but really looking at each one of these areas and thinking if you have one of these plans, that they should be, as Darnell says, inspecting what they expect, so that if they do have something that's protecting a credit card or whatever, that they should be looking and comparing what we have. Again, for me, I refer back to the tap the app, the convenience. And the dark web is probably one of the places that folks don't always understand unless they're somehow involved with internet. So, explaining a little bit about, for me at least, just explaining a little bit about that the internet was never meant to be safe. The way it originated and started, it was just this open highway, this open resource. And a lot of us believe that it's meant to be safe. And so we're caught off guard when we've been breached or when someone takes advantage of like the Facebook. And so just really being able to point out, especially in the dark web, that it was never meant to be safe. Here are all, and I'm also kind of glossing over it for time for everybody here. But if you're not up to date, last July, we had an update on pricing, and we also have a 3 credit bureau monitoring system. And so if you have not looked at those prices, there's just a little bit of difference there. We've added some new features into our identity theft process. So, and that's where we're going here. So you see the typical credit cards, the investment accounts, the financial account monitoring, but then the second column includes some areas that had not been covered by us in the past. And so those are the places that are like least watched. And so the buy here, pay here, telecom, those are places that even if they had a plan from somewhere else, it's likely that it's not being taken care of. It's not being viewed.
And we anchor that too, because again, they don't use a buy here, pay here place probably. That's the point, right? You're not using the buy here, pay here store, but the identity thieves are. And that's why, and creating accounts with your identity at places like that.
Absolutely. Next slide. And the $100 million, I mean, 100 million, the $1 million identity theft protection plan is in fact an insurance. And so we actually have a company that is insuring this, and it's not for it's not for credit card theft. And it isn't that you're suddenly going to get paid $1 million. So, you know, just keep that in the back of your mind, but that we're always going to do what it takes for as long as it takes to get people to their pre-theft status. But in the damage that the thieves are doing, it may require taking time off from work. It may require something that we can't anticipate. And that's what that plan is supposed to be covering, is that it might be dealing with childcare or elderly care costs, the taking time off from work. And again, that's only after our investigators have done their job. And this is all they do. This is what they do all the time. So when the time comes for that, it means that they've done everything that they can and that you have to take care of it. I also want to mention that I let people know in whether it's by testimonial or by narrative, I say there are things I have to do and then they do all the heavy lifting. So you still may have to sign up for something or call your bank. So a lot of people think this is a complete, it just takes everything off your plate. And it doesn't, because there's just some things that you're going to have to do that even with a limited power of attorney, is not going to be handled. Do you have insight on this slide? I tend to gloss over it. Yeah, there's the new areas. We can see the privacy. And I would say that a lot of folks don't realize, I have the device here. We have all these devices that it's part of what's called the Internet of Things. Oh, no, speaking of the Internet of Things, and we have all these devices that are connecting our world to the outside world and to that internet. And I don't think that people are truly aware at what they're giving up. And so I think this is just a good slide to just, really look at the full truth of that. Nothing is free when it comes to the internet.
Yeah, and when ID Shield came out, the number one thing I heard from people was, well, I don't shop online, so it's never going to happen to me. You're not going to hear that now. Most likely, if you're dealing with people that own homes and cars and have insurance products, they probably are going to say to you, I have that. They don't have that, of course, but that's what they're going to say. But it's interesting that in a decade they went from I don't need that to oh, I already have that. So they're still wrong. They're just wrong in a different way. So that's why we're educating them so that they understand why they're signing up.
Right. And the fact that we also have something that's looking at reputation, I think that it feels like we've been living in the age of Aquarius when it comes to all the social media and how much data we put out there. And so this is just a great way to take an outside in look. And there's actually a reputation score that you'll get because it assesses all of these different points of information. Now, we individually are not necessarily identity theft experts. You're not going to know every single stat or anything like that. But the reality is that this is I liken it to the squeezing of a toothpaste, right? You can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle. And again, that's the idea that you're combating in the audience and with your guests is they think that whatever they're doing by checking their checkbook and making sure their mortgage payments are on time, that they think that they have a handle on what identity theft is. And they don't, because it is so much bigger and it is so monetized. They really do just want our data because they are hiding behind us to get away with a lot of theft. And it is just, and so the reputation score also says what's out there in the internet. And with our younger people, posting everything, It's a good thing to have. It's a good thing, especially college age, if you're going to get a job like every social media is now fair game. And a lot of people don't think of it that way. They don't think they have that much, they don't have much to lose. They don't have that much at risk, and they don't believe that much is out there. And the reality is that it is.
And it's easily accessible. And so just like we're making the point, as Joe said, lawyers are not for people who do bad things. ID Shield is not for people that, write their social security number on the side of a truck and drive it down the street. All of our data is out there. When we fill it out, a doctor's office form on a clipboard and hand it to the lady, the first thing she does is type it into the computer. We don't have any control over it after that. Member perks, again, we're just building the value. It's an incredible thing to be able to say that you could essentially, and be careful how you use this language. You'll see the best presenters are very gentle with this language, but essentially you could realize in savings for things that you're already purchasing through member perks. You could realize savings that would be equal or greater than your monthly Legal Shield and ID Shield membership. That's powerful. I just think just our cell phone bill in our family we probably save enough to cover our.
And while we're here, I'm hoping that everybody on this call tonight is looking at the associate perks as well. I'm saving 20% on my AT&T bill, and so I'm hoping you guys have already activated your phone if there's a phone discount for you. Like that's pretty major. And a lot of people they want specificity when it comes to member perks. What I say about this is that there are almost 5 million of us, and those companies are hungry for those shopping dollars. And so they want us, right? $54.90, I believe, comes out to, is that 85 cents a day? No, I think I have.
I was told there'd be no math during this.
Oh, no. No, that's $25.90. So it's under $2 a day for a 3-bureau family plan and legal plan.
Joe, my whole career, we've been saying for less than a cup of coffee a day. Luckily, the price of a cup of coffee keeps going up much faster than our adjustments to our membership.
Thank you, Starbucks. It is. It's less than half a cup of coffee.
Okay. And so then this is where, if you're doing it as a this is where you would bring on, probably the member perks slide is a great place to do that, but I think that one advances. Yeah, because the one after, because the one after it advances on its own. So we'll just go back to member perks. So member perks is a great place to introduce the person who's going to do the second half of the presentation for you, which is where they'll see, how do you make money? So that person will tell their story a little bit. Like I would say, for 10 years, I owned exactly what you just saw, this Legal Shield membership, and I loved it. And maybe I'll even throw in a testimonial, depending on how much time I have. And I'll say, but you know what? I told other people about it. I told my mom and my grandparents. I told people I worked with, and they were grateful for it. And I was happy to tell them. And by the way, there's a lesson for those of you here today. You're going to tell people about Legal Shield because now you know about Legal Shield. Well, that's what I did for 10 years. I had never seen the part of the presentation that you're about to see now. And I kind of build a little expectation about that. How do we make money? And we'll talk about that real quick. And then we'll just get into the money, because ultimately they came here to see a business presentation. There is no Legal Shield business without the membership. So we can't gloss over the membership, but we know that they are interested in learning about the opportunity. So we'll talk about that, again, based on the 5490 plan. And we'll talk about overrides on a team. And I'll probably be doing this part. Joe and I haven't talked about this. I'll either do the whole thing or I'll do this part next week. So you'll see the flow of it. So I won't really build into it too much. But we just want to give people possible and realistic and understandable examples of what's possible. Is a team of 30 Legal Shield associates a big team? No. But you have to keep it in a sphere of what people could comprehend. If they understood what the real scope of the business was, you blow most people out of the water. But this is a pretty safe example of what is achievable and possible without telling people that they could earn $1 million a year or more and then have them think, well, that's, I don't know anybody that makes that kind of money.
And I want
Go
to
ahead.
add too, that sometimes we feel at this, in the presentation, that we are trying to tell them everything and they're going to leave knowing everything.
Right.
And really, and so this is, again, it feels counter because obviously we come from a place of truth and we want people to know, but they can always watch this again. They can always get a document. Like there's, if you try to like hammer every single slide as though it's the only slide they're ever going to see, they get overwhelmed. And, you know, before the meeting tonight, Steve was mentioning, you know, we have different people who interface in different ways. For some people, the money is not the incentive. For some people, it's the doing good that is the incentive. For other people, it may be the reward that's the incentive. And there's a lot of models out there that talk about the personality types and all of that. And so everyone really thinks about all of this as being equal, right? That someone's going to take something away from it. And it may not be the thing we think they're going to take away from it. You think, oh, this person really wants money, but maybe it's the trips, or maybe it's the possibility of having a business, or maybe it's that they need the Legal Shield plan and they're not ready to be an associate. We don't know. So we're just trying to make sure that they have seen it, because that is our one job.
That's right. That's why this is an exposure. It's not fast start training. It's not B2B certification. It's not how to make 100 grand a year. They'll get all that training. It's enough information for them to make a fair decision about moving forward, or at least moving forward to get more information.
To piggyback.
Go ahead.
To piggyback, this is Nola, everyone.
Yes.
I would just wanted to piggyback on what Joe said and what Jim referred to earlier in the start of the presentation about you don't have to cover everything. It's really so much more important how you make people feel. And that's why Joe and Jim had to share all these stories, because there's power in that emotion there, rather than covering everything. Less is always more.
Absolutely. And also, as it relates to the entirety of how long this takes to do, less is more. I'd love to spend an hour on this. I think with the amount of slides they gave us, this could be an hour, but probably everything after 30 minutes, you're just confusing people, wearing them out, you know, talking them out of it, probably. So
The curve.
but we want them to understand, like you guys are saying, that there's residual income. You know, 95% of Americans have no residual income. 5% do. Why? It's not that it's not available. It's that we don't ever learn about it until we do. And most people go to their grave never learning about it. So we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on the trips. We're going to make it, you know, good presenters will say things about the trips like walking the beaches of the world. And this is another place where you could put in testimonials, especially in your local markets. If you've got people that just got back from a performance club trip, get them out in front of the room and let them tell, because Legal Shield treats us like royalty on these trips. And I've never been on a trip where I wasn't blown away, including like some of these trips, they just give you cash in an envelope. And, you know, we went on a trip somewhere, they gave us cash in the local currency in an envelope, and, you know, but there was nothing to spend it on because they paid for everything. So, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And we want people to hear from other associates, those experiences. Performance Club. Listen, Performance Club is an additional $6,000 a year in bonus money. If that was the only bonus program we had in the whole company, it would be fair and fun to be in Performance Club. And then $99. And if you're watching me do the presentation, the way I do the $99 is I always say, you're probably thinking, how could it be so little? Now, I know there's people out there thinking, how could it be so much? That's what I was thinking. Well, it was $249 when I got started, and I did not have $249. But I also did not have any other options in my life, and I was sick of not having $249. So I just handle it in a way that acknowledges the fact that there's a price, but also doesn't defend it, apologize for it, or anything like that. I just say, listen, you're probably thinking, how could it be only $99 to get started in a business where, and I'll hit some of the points from what we've already talked about. And then I'll talk about the tools so that they understand that they're not just getting signed up, a pep talk and shoved out there to figure it out for themselves. And that's basically it. And, you know, we're going to tell them that people just like them are having success in Legal Shield. And this is a great place where we'll talk about some of these folks and then we'll bring in business testimonials. And again, not because you've made a bunch of money. Some of you have, which is awesome, but that's not what matters. What matters is why you got started. Why did you join? They're in the seats looking at this presentation saying to themselves, should I do this? We should not ever be in a position of saying to them, you should do this. The epiphany they need to have is, because this is only the right business if it's right for them, but the epiphany they'll have is from seeing your story. And then they connect the dots and they say, if it does that for Nola, maybe you could do that for me. If it does that for Joe, if it does that for Donna Spore, it could do that for me. And that's the epiphany, whether it's for the membership or the opportunity or both. We want them to come to that conclusion. And again, we'll talk about the success of the company. And then we're just, now we're wrapping it up, right? So we're going to send them back to whoever invited them to the presentation. In a live meeting scenario, this would be circling up. We'd circle up because they're in a room, but on Zoom, it's probably going to be over text or phone or whatever, so that they can become a member, become an associate. And people need to know what's going to happen next. We've learned this. They need to know what's going to happen after they sign up. So that they're going to become a member, become an associate, and then you're going to get into a training program. So I'll talk about the training program for a second. And then, of course, why are they signing up in the first place? To get paid. So we're going to get them paid and promoted through the compensation plan. And then you'll also, in a local market, have this slide to end it with. So this is, again, we'll have the testimonials right here where you've got Alex Shahid and some of the other folks. That's where we'll bring people up to talk about their success in Legal Shield. And then when this is really kind of the slide you end on, and you send people back to whoever invited them to the presentation. I feel like I talked a lot. Anybody else feel that way? You guys had to listen a lot. Did I lose anybody? No,
We're still at 18. So you can go ahead and stop sharing so we can bring everybody back into the fold and just be connected again.
You say it with great confidence. Let's see if I can do it.
You did it. No, you're fantastic. I'm gonna let's see, I'm gonna unspotlight this. So now we are all back into our room. Thank you, Jim. That was amazing. And I don't know that let's do a little shout out. So we do applause like this. This is deaf community love and applause, and it's the best way in Zoom. I don't know if people have had the opportunity to kind of break it down for the why. Why do we do the presentation? Where, I think that for myself, I wanted it to be perfect. And so I held myself back because I wanted people to be proud of me and to be perfect, and realizing that that's about ego. That's about me. That's not about what's going on. If the slides have all the information, literally, there are people, we have some successful deaf folks who meet their friends who are not deaf, who don't know sign language, and they put on a video. That's all they do. Or they go through the slide deck, like they might have like a flip book, and they're just showing it. Jim talks about when he had the stone tablet and the mallet, and it would be like Legal Shield. And so, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because I think we have a misunderstanding of what we're trying to do. We have one job, and that's to share this information. And if we do anything else other than share it, then we're getting in our own way. We can read from the slides, but if that's not where you want to end up, then it's on your shoulders to just keep practicing until you get it there. And what Jim has taught me, and this is what I'm teaching my team, and I want you to teach yours, is talk to the people who love you and say, I need you to watch me do this badly because I don't want to do it badly anymore. I need you just to listen, give me some feedback, tell me, what's going on. And by virtue of that, not only are you practicing, but you're also exposing people who you may have been having an issue about how to get them to even know what you're doing. And now they're doing it because they want to help you. They want to help you launch your business. So I did have a couple things I wanted to mention, and we should probably, Jim, we'll probably do an objections seminar next month. I think that'll be a lot of fun, because what we're trying to do whenever we're talking to anybody is we're trying to anticipate what might be the stumbling block for them. And so, like Jim mentioned, how could this be so little, and really putting yourself into their shoes. And the reminder that came for me from that was, if you're in their shoes, where were you when you were in their shoes? What was the thing that got you? And this is said over and over again by our leaders. Very often we want to do so many facts and details, when in reality, as Nola very astutely pointed out, that it's more about how we made them feel. And especially in COVID, to feel like you have hope and opportunity, and that there's something there that might give people that, that the satisfaction of doing something good for other people as well as making money. Like, that's an amazing thing to gift to people. So I just wanted to point that out. I know we've gone way over, and I thank you all so much for being so patient with us. I do want to know if you put in the chat, if you would like to, and we can break this up into smaller bits, but we are going to do an open briefing next week. This one is the first one. I will not put it into like the calendar or anything. Everyone here has to bring a guest. You have to bring at least one person. And so we can break it up by the Legal Shield story, if somebody wants to do that. Identity theft is its own section. The legal is its own section. And if somebody wants to do the opportunity, I know, Jim, did you want to do that next week? You are on mute.
I'm muted. I think we'll have some, I'll do the opportunity. Someone that volunteers that has done 1 million of these will do the membership.
Okay.
Because we want everybody to watch the flow. And
right.
then we're looking for volunteers for testimonials.
Okay, so you just want to break it up into the two. So just the membership and okay, so I need somebody to do the membership, somebody who has done this before, because this is our first one, and then we can figure out ways to practice until the next one. So Saul will do the membership.
I have a question.
What's that?
I have a question. Where do I find the membership presentation?
I'll show you that tomorrow. It's in LS Engage.
All right, cool.
Okay, all right. So if you volunteered me for something, that's okay.
No, I thought I saw your hand go up. I'm not, the question is, and this is for next week, who has done this presentation? And so when you have not yet done it. So this, why don't we hold for a second? There's no doubt that I'm sure you are incredibly capable of doing this, but I think we want to start with somebody who's done the membership presentation before.
Old school legacy.
Okay.
Nola.
Absolutely.
Is she out there? She raised her hand?
Yeah, she put her hand up.
Nola. Have we ever done one together?
Yes.
Yes.
Have I ever done one with you?
Yeah. Have we done it?
No. Awesome.
Oh.
What a treat. An honor.
So Nola's going to do the membership. Jim is going to do the opportunity, and we need a membership testimonial.
We can do a few of those.
Yeah, you want to do a couple of those? So like literally 2 of each?
Because I trust this group to do them quickly. Like if somebody jumped out and did 5 minutes, it would ruin everything, but nobody's going to do that.
I know, you guys are amazing. So
they're already trained.
Does anybody want to do a testimonial for membership next week? Just raise your hand and I'll call out your name because I'm watching. So Connie.
Think of how easy it'll be to get your guests on if you're going to be featured during the presentation. What a great thing to do.
Clifford, all right. And then we need folks for the business testimonial, right? Before Sharon, before Legal Shield, with Legal Shield, life changed with Legal Shield. Who else would like to do an opportunity, a business
testimonial? Why I got started. Why
I got started. Okay, Michael.
We're going to keep doing this. No one has to feel unsure or uncertain.
I'm sorry. If you want to know why I got started, I'm fine with doing that, if that's what you're looking for.
Yes, please. Perfect. So you and Michael will do the business ones. And so we saw the overview. Nola's going to do that. We will tell you specifically when you will do your membership. That's Connie and Clifford. Then Jim is going to do the business, and then he will let you know when you're going to do the business, why I got started with Legal Shield. Okay, and we are going to do, thank you so much. We are going to do this at the end of every month moving forward. And so this will start to rotate. And so everybody will have a chance. So don't even worry about that.
It'll be a fun way to close out the month, and you'll be able to three-way us into, so they'll see, like, for example, me, they'll see me on the screen, and then you can three-way your prospects right into me after. I'll stay up late and we'll do as many as you guys have that want to get their questions answered after it's over. We'll just, let's get people started in a business that can be very meaningful to their lives and to the communities they serve.
Okay. Does that sound good for everybody? You guys are amazing. And this was just such a joy to have. I love feeling like we're in the same room. And every week just feels like that more and more. So thank you all. I cannot wait. For those of you who are participating in the presentation, why don't you just come on a little bit early, like a little before 9, just so we can make sure everyone's settled and that their tech is working. And everybody bring a guest. Pinky promise? Pinky promise, everybody bring a guest? Okay, and we can be transparent. I mean, I don't know how, actually we don't have to be. It'll just be a briefing. Right, Jim? It's just a briefing. We're not gonna break the fourth wall.
No, it's a briefing, and that's the way it'll be advertised throughout the week on the, like when we send out the notices, it'll be a reminder. I'll just do it on Thursday, because the other part of this is don't wait until a week from today to expose people. That's not what this is about.
Right.
Bring your exposures for Thursday, and the people you're following up with all week, when it gets to Thursday, bring them to this. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, excellent. You guys are
And your
amazing.
spouses and your friends and the people that you don't quite know how to explain Legal Shield to, or you think you are and they're not getting it, let them see it for themselves. I promise you, they need to see it for themselves.
Excellent. If there is nothing else, I'm going to sign off and thank you all for your extra time and attention tonight. And I look forward to next week. Rock stars. Awesome. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Good night.